Hi, I'm Brad Blank, I'm a science teacher here at Kinard. And you may have just heard Joe Kademi talking a little bit about the big picture about standards-based grading and the philosophy behind it. What I want to do tonight is give you a little bit of perspective of what that looks like, feels like, and means here in the school setting. So if we get a little chance, I want to dive into the computer, take you through some slides, and hopefully explain it for you.
Okay, my intent at this time frame is to take you down the roadmap of what instruction, assessment, and communicating that progress looks like here at Kinard. The analogy of a roadmap or a roadway is kind of fitting. If we look at the bottom left-hand corner, we have the learning standards. These are state standards for every discipline. The upper right-hand corner is our ultimate goal, our destination for every student to show a proficiency level in that standard. As we take the journey down the learning path, we sometimes use checkpoints indicated by the orange triangles. Those are formative assessments that inform the teachers and the students of where they are meeting that ultimate goal. Sometimes it leads us to a bypass, that's represented by the upper arrow, where we can maybe go a little bit faster. For some students, we may, and maybe entire classes, we may need to readjust our plan. As we look at the arrow that loops towards the back, sometimes we'll have to look at reteaching or relearning or reassessing or make it the instruction uniquely different for an individual so they can obtain those goals and move past that spot and down the line towards the ultimate goal. I want to use this analogy throughout our conversation tonight. If you look at this example, this is maybe the old way of thinking. And in fact, when I was in school, this is what I saw a lot of, where you'd write a paragraph or an essay and you'd have 10 different things on it, and sometimes you get 16 out of 20, and by the end of it, you get an 86% and a nice little job. And in today's world, this really doesn't communicate the levels of proficiency or progress in a standards-based world. It gives us a nice sum point total, but it really doesn't look at what a student can do or can't do and what that skill level is. If we look at the process from an educator's perspective, and I'm speaking from a teacher's side of the table, we want to always identify the state standard to start off with. And sometimes those are very large and global, big things we need to unpack. We unpack those into specific learning targets, which are maybe sometimes more tangible and measurable. We always want to pre-assess our students to see where they're at, and that's going to help us to design and implement our curriculum plan. As we're implementing our curriculum plan, we need to check for understanding, and that's where, again, those formative assessments come in with a rubric that shows both the student and the teacher the progress down that pathway. As we learn from our formative assessments, oftentimes we need to revise the plan. Sometimes we need to rewind, fast forward, and sometimes we're right on course. It's the unique needs for every student needs to be kept in consideration. Sometimes we have to change the speed limit. Sometimes we have to do a detour. Sometimes we have to do smaller groups to kind of get kids to where they need to be. If it's more challenge, or maybe it's more assistance in getting to that first target. Again, it's the relearn, retake, and move forward kind of process. As we continue down the pathway, we might do multiple formative assessments before we reach that summative assessment, which is our desired destination. And again, that's proficiency not just for one kid, not just for part of the class, but for every student in the class. So again, that's the overall process from an educator's perspective. If we look at a rubric, this is done by a gentleman named Marzano, who is a very well-respected scholar in the field of assessment and grading of assessments. Marzano puts together a 4-point rating scale. This is a general rubric or outline of a rubric that we'll be utilizing with standards-based grading. If you look in the number line, we go from 0 to 4. 4 is the highest number. That would represent an advanced level of understanding of that particular learning target or that state standard. A 3 shows a level of proficiency where they match that standard. And then we go down to the lower numbers where 2 would be partially proficient. A 0 might indicate we don't have enough evidence to even assess the student on it. An example of that might be an extended absence, or students have missed a lot of time within a unit, and we don't really have any evidence to really speak to their level of proficiency. Then you'll notice there's half-point scores on this scale as well. That shows that they've mastered the previous level and shown some level of advancement in the other levels, or moving towards the next level. What are some of the benefits of rubrics? The beautiful thing I like about it is they provide clearly stated expectations. Expectations for the students, you as the parents, as well as me as the teacher. It provides an informational tool for the student to see where they're progressing, and also for data for us as teachers to collaboratively evaluate and modify our instructional plans as needed. In this slide, I'll let you take a look at it for a second, but we have two examples that are currently in place and being used by teachers at Kinard. Again, you'll see the 4-point scale. On the far left-hand corner, you'll see what the learning target or the state standard is. The top one is for a science process skill. And as you go along the way, advanced is can the student apply the understanding of all the variables in possibly a new scenario? So taking that level of proficiency and applying it in some new context. Proficiency is utilizing something they're very familiar with, in this case a lead balloon lab in an 8th grade science class, and they can identify all the parts related to that activity they did in class. So we look at the lower rubric. This is from a 6th grade math class, and it has to do with factoring of two numbers. And again, we'll see different descriptors under each of the proficiencies. For a proficient 3, they're able to do it at this level. Advanced, again, maybe has an application standpoint to where can they take that skill, put it in a little bit different context, apply it to a real world situation, and show that they're at that level of the progression. Work habits are also a very important part of our students' lives, as well as a communication tool for us. The work habits that go behind the actual academic successes tell a really good story. What you'll see here at Kinard is we have two categories, productive in class and productive on homework. Again, the categories have very clear descriptors. And the one thing I like to say about this is it's a communication tool. Maybe we can look at this compared to academic successes based on the other rubrics, and we have a cause and effect to kind of look at. I've been really working hard. I've been very productive. I've been paying attention, contributing in class, and students can see a translation into a higher level of proficiency on the marks. And in another case, maybe we've been not working so hard in this area, and that may be a cause for academic struggles or partial proficiency on the other end. Some of the language we use here at Kinard is to communicate progress is, again, that 4-point scale. Goes from 4 down to 0. We have half points, so you'll see this in the reports that are either on rubrics or sent home or electronically in a program we call Synergy. Again, advanced, proficient, partially proficient, and then we've got some half points that are moving towards the next level. Now that we've taken a little look at rubrics, I want to move toward our conversation towards how we will categorize and communicate some of the assessments and learning. Using Synergy, which is a district-wide computer system, we will be utilizing 4 different categories: assessment, practice, homework, and assignment. Under the assessment category, that's where we'll report kind of the cumulative scores on final tests per se. In that category, it's called summative assessments. It'll be 70% of the student's total academic grade. Under practice, which is 30% of the total grade, we will record formative scores. This is a traditional format in an academic class such as science or math. We'll be utilizing rubrics and reporting scores that way. You may see some information that is a little bit different under this category from the world of Encore, which we call physical education, art, music, that area of the world, where there's maybe some performance measures, performance indicators that provide information as well. One thing to note in the formative scores is that as we look at our roadmap and we're sometimes circling back to relearn and reteach, a reassessment will be documented in this category. For example, a student might get a 2, which is partially proficient, do the reassessment after some relearning, and move it to a 3. We will remove the 2, replace it with a 3, and in the comments section describe the process. So it might say, student moved from a 2 to a 3 following relearning on this assessment on this day. Under the homework and assignment categories, these are both very important to us as well. This is where we record work habits. Under homework, it'll be kind of based on the rubric talking about how productive the student is outside of class or at home. Again, a great communication tool. Under assignment is where we look at the other work habit, which is how productive they are here at school and in class. It's also a great place to record information like pre-assessments, things we may want to document and look back later on in time. So the 4 categories used in Synergy. So how do we convert that to a letter grade and into a report card? We at Kinard have adopted a system along with 8 other middle schools with a conversion rating scale as follows. We'll take the score. In this case, on the high end, if we have a 4 to a 3.5, that will be converted to an A. 2.5 to 3.5 will be a B, and so forth. One thing to note is that there are no A minuses or A pluses in this system. Some implications of this is that a 3.5 is beyond proficient and approaching advanced. And so to earn that traditional A, the students may have to take their understanding to a little bit deeper level, maybe show a little bit more work to get to that challenge and that deeper understanding. One thing that we as teachers have committed to is to provide multiple opportunities for students to show that they are advanced with that skill or that standard. In this screen, we're looking at a parent view, a screenshot of a parent view of one specific detail assignment. This happens to be in math class. In the upper left-hand corner, second row, you'll see the assignment. We will do our best to be very informative in our assignment titles. In this case, it's a formative, covering learning target number 4, related to the distributive property. To the right of that, you'll see a type, and that's where the 4 categories show up. This shows a practice, which tells me that's a formative assessment category. This person earned a 3.5 out of 4. The 4 is the highest, meaning advanced. 3.5 would tell me that they are beyond proficient and approaching an advanced level. In the line below that, there's a description, and we will do our best to communicate more details about that assignment or that skill that's involved with that assessment.
Okay, I hope that helped a little bit with the understanding about what we do here at Kinard and the whole idea of instruction, assessment, and how we report that progress with standards-based grading. I encourage you to take a handout. We have a real detailed look at how we can use parent view and student view. Take that if you desire. Also ask questions and refer to our website for more information. Appreciate the time and the caring that you have for your student, and look forward to talking next time.